It looked like the WNBA referees has been put on notice because the WNBA is making big-time hires.
WNBA players facing questionable calls. Refs ignoring flagrant fouls. Caitlin Clark left defenseless. This isn't some dystopian future. It's happening right now in the WNBA.
The one thing as a very long-term sports fan I know is that officiating and refereeing is always at the top of a fan's list, of the media's list. Obviously, we work hard on training. We work hard on consistency.
The league just secretly admitted the truth behind the referee problem. They're hiring 2 new positions to fix this mess. But here's the twist. It might be too late. We're exposing the ref disasters of 2024 and asking, can these mystery hires save the WNBA? Or is it game over?
Thing that stuck out amongst the WNBA fans for the 2024 season, and I can't even lie, I have to admit, it is the horrible refereeing that took place on the basketball court. We know there was countless times, countless calls, and hell, they arguably messed up the WNBA finals this year alone.
Picture this. Game 5 of the WNBA finals. The New York Liberty and Minnesota Lynx are locked in a fierce battle. The clock's ticking down, and suddenly, a whistle blows. The crowd goes silent. What just happened?
What a terrible way to end this WNBA season.
This moment wasn't just a game changer. It was the tipping point in a season plagued by questionable calls and growing frustration with WNBA officiating. With just 5.2 seconds left in regulation, refs called a foul on Lynx forward Alana Smith against Liberty star Breanna Stewart. Here's the thing. Stewart appeared to have traveled before the foul, and during replay review, it's clear there was no contact. The free throws tied the game, sending it to overtime where the Liberty clinched the win.
And she doesn't just take one extra step. Let's count here how many steps she takes when she gets the ball. I'm gonna put this in slow motion. Okay, so she gets the ball here. She jumps 1, 2, 3, 4. She at least jumps 1, 2, 3. Oh my gosh. She at least takes 4 steps at minimum. She might have taken 5.
Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve didn't mince words after the game. This was stolen from us, she declared, her voice thick with emotion. And she wasn't alone. Social media exploded with outrage from fans and players alike. The controversy spread like wildfire, with accusations of favoritism towards the Liberty flying left and right.
The challenge, we have got to change our challenge rules, and the officials doing the game should have a third party, because that was not a foul. That call should have been reversed on that challenge. If we sent that clip in, well, first of all, Nafisa Collier, the number of times that she's held, et cetera, and there's nothing down that end, right? Which we, it's kind of, for whatever reason in the series, that was kind of the way it was.
But this wasn't an isolated incident. Throughout the 2024 season, the officiating crisis kept snowballing. And at the center of it all, none other than Caitlin Clark. Time and again, Clark found herself on the receiving end of missed calls and inconsistent rulings. During one infamous play against the Connecticut Sun, Clark took a hard hit. No whistle, no foul, just silence from the officials as fans watched in disbelief.
As everyone else has seen this angle. I'm calling her in, and I'm saying to her, I need answers.
Clark herself finally spoke up, her frustration evident. I feel like I'm getting hammered, she admitted, giving voice to what fans had been seeing all season long.
I feel like I'm getting hammered.
The lack of protection for star players like Clark wasn't just unfair, it was downright dangerous. As the controversies piled up, even NBA stars couldn't stay silent. The mounting evidence of inconsistent and potentially biased officiating was impossible to ignore. It wasn't just about missed calls anymore. The WNBA's integrity hung in the balance. Fans demanded answers. How could refs consistently miss such obvious calls? Why did it seem like some teams were getting preferential treatment? The league's response, or lack thereof, only fueled the fire of conspiracy theories.
As you can see in this photo here, which is right before Stewie goes up with the ball, Alana Smith is not touching her at all. She has 2 fingers that look like slightly tapping the ball. Her body isn't touching Breanna Stewart. Her arm isn't touching Breanna Stewart. There was clearly 0 contact here.
With each passing game, the calls for change grew louder. Players feared for their safety on the court. Coaches struggled to plan strategies around unpredictable officiating. And fans? They just wanted to see fair competition, not a game decided by questionable whistles. As the dust settled on the controversial finals, one thing became crystal clear. The The WNBA was at a crossroads. The officiating crisis had reached a boiling point. Something had to give, but would the league's response be enough to salvage its reputation and restore faith in the game? Or was this just the beginning of an even bigger storm?
Overhaul needs to happen from top down. Like on every level, it's just disaster after disaster after disaster after disaster. Like this, at this point, it's laughable. I can't even hold back at this point. There were so many people, former WNBA players, current WNBA players coming out and just saying how bad the referees were, how that could actually happen in the finals game.
Just when you thought the WNBA officiating crisis couldn't get any more intense, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert stepped up to the microphone. Her next words would either douse the flames or pour gasoline on the fire. What she said next left fans and players alike wondering, is the league's top official living in the same reality as the rest of us?
With the increased attention this year, there's also been increased scrutiny about the quality of refereeing. Curious if there has been any conversation about whether it's referee pay, referee training, anything to ensure that is as good as it can be.
The pressure on the WNBA to address the refereeing concerns had reached a fever pitch. Players were voicing their frustrations. Coaches were demanding answers, and fans were threatening to tune out if something didn't change. All eyes were on Engelbert, hoping for a sign that the league understood the gravity of the situation. But when Engelbert finally broke her silence at the WNBA Finals press conference, her words sent shockwaves through the basketball world. "They work hard. They're human," she said, referring to the league's officials. It was a response that left many stunned and confused. Was this really the best the commissioner could offer in the face of such widespread criticism?
Obviously, not every, they're humans, looking at technology. Basketball is a little more complex than tennis, for instance, around technology of officiating. So we're looking at a variety of different dimensions.
The disconnect between Engelbert's casual dismissal and the severity of the officiating issues was staggering. This wasn't just about a few missed calls or controversial decisions. We're talking about player safety being compromised, game outcomes potentially being influenced, and the integrity of the entire league being called into question. And Engelbert's response? Essentially, everyone makes mistakes. Fans and analysts immediately began dissecting Engelbert's words, trying to understand how she could be so out of touch with the realities on the court. Was she genuinely unaware of the scope of the problem? Or was there something more concerning at play? Some even began to question whether Engelbert's apparent lack of concern was indicative of deeper issues within the league's leadership.
When you thought it couldn't get any worse, fans were noticing the commissioner's outfit that she wore for the trophy presentation.
But the controversy didn't end there. As if to add fuel to the fire, Engelbert made an appearance at the championship trophy presentation, wearing a dress featuring the New York City skyline. In the context of accusations of favoritism towards the New York Liberty, this fashion choice struck many as tone-deaf at best and potentially damning at worst.
Her dress. It's literally the New York skyline. And okay, I kind of get it. They're playing in New York, so no matter what team wins, but you have a New York team playing their final game in New York. This is just basic IQ. Like, I would like to test the IQ of everyone in management at the WNBA and see if any of them are qualified to run any major business.
The WNBA's social media team didn't help matters when they posted, and quickly deleted, a tweet suggesting the championship belonged to the Liberty. This gaffe only intensified suspicions of bias within the league office. With calls for change growing louder by the day, the WNBA finds itself at a critical juncture. Can the league afford to ignore these issues any longer? What consequences await if they continue down this path? Just when we thought all is lost, eagle-eyed fans suddenly found the WNBA hiring two key positions. If you've made it this far and are enjoying the video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications. We know watching this video takes some of your time, and we appreciate you. Now back to the action.
The WNBA referees need to be held accountable, and it looked like the league is definitely doing something about it.
In a surprising twist, the WNBA quietly posted job listings that could change everything about how games are officiated. But here's the catch. These roles might not be what fans were expecting. What's really going on behind the scenes? Two new positions suddenly appeared on the league's job board, promising to tackle the officiating problem head-on. Fans exploded with excitement. Could this finally be the solution we've all been waiting for? Let's break down these mysterious new roles. First up, we have the WNBA referee, Performance and Development Advisor. This person will be tasked with improving referee performance through feedback, game observations, and training clinics. They'll be watching games like a hawk, looking for trends and areas where officials can step up their game. The second position, the WNBA Referee Operations Analyst. This role focuses more on the behind-the-scenes work, managing data, coordinating evaluations, and even helping update the WNBA rulebook. It's like having a detective dedicated to cracking the code of better officiating. Now, these jobs sound promising on paper, but here's where things get interesting. Some fans are skeptical. They're wondering if just two people can really fix such a widespread problem. It's like trying to patch a sinking ship with a couple of band-aids.
The NBA Replay Center will provide on-site referees with superior tools and more control over the video review process.
Let's compare this to how other leagues handle officiating. The NBA, NFL, and NHL, they've got entire departments dedicated to this stuff. We're talking extensive training programs, oversight committees, the works. The NBA even has a centralized officiating system, while the NHL has a whole department of player safety. The WNBA's new hires? They're starting to look a bit small in comparison. So, who's going to fill these roles? That's the million-dollar question. Will the WNBA bring in seasoned pros from other leagues? Or will they promote from within? Either way, these new hires will have their work cut out for them. But here's the thing. Can these two positions really solve the deep-rooted issues plaguing WNBA officiating? Sure, they're a step in the right direction. But with player safety on the line and the integrity of the game in question, is this enough?
I'm Brendan Shanahan of the National Hockey League's Department of Player Safety. Throughout the season, we will provide video examples of both legal hockey plays and illegal plays that rise to the level of supplemental discipline.
As we wait to see how these new roles play out, one thing's clear. The WNBA needs more than just a couple of new hires. We're talking about a complete overhaul of how officiating is handled in the league. From training to accountability, from technology to transparency, there's a long road ahead. The question now is the WNBA ready to go the distance?
But I know it's a passionate issue. Every fan group, I love when I go into market and every fan group I meet with, they usually wait and ask it as the last question of the night, but they do ask about officiating, which I appreciate the passion for that.
Fair play in women's basketball teeters on a knife's edge. But while fans fixate on controversial calls, a far more insidious threat lurks beneath the surface. What if poor officiating is more than just incompetence? If the WNBA doesn't get its act together soon, the consequences could be dire. We're talking about more than just angry tweets and disgruntled fans. This crisis threatens to drive away sponsors, alienate potential new viewers, and worst of all, put player careers at risk. Just ask Caitlin Clark, who's been on the receiving end of some non-calls this season.
The referees is under fire yet again. A lot of questionable calls. Now, we know that has been the story of the WNBA for the whole 2024 season, going all the way back to rookie sensation Caitlin Clark making her run throughout this league. The referees just cannot get it right.
Some experts believe the league can bounce back. They point to other sports that have weathered similar storms and emerged stronger. Remember the NBA's officiating scandal in the early 2000s? They implemented major reforms and restored fan trust. So what's the solution? Some are calling for a complete overhaul of the WNBA's officiating system. We're talking cutting-edge tech, third-party reviews for controversial calls, and maybe even borrowing a page from the NHL's playbook with their Department of Player Safety. Imagine a system that provides clear video examples of legal and illegal plays, leaving no room for confusion. The clock is ticking for the WNBA's leadership. They need to make some tough decisions, and fast. Will they stick to business as usual and hope this all blows over? Or will they take bold action to save the league's reputation and protect their players?
These referees in the WNBA clearly do not know what they're doing. They don't know how to call.
One thing's for sure. The future of the WNBA hangs in the balance. Fans are demanding change, players deserve better, and the integrity of the game is at stake. The league stands at a crossroads, and their next move could make or break women's professional basketball in America. The ball's in their court now. What will they do with it? The WNBA stands at a pivotal moment. How they handle this officiating crisis will shape the league's future for years to come. But here's the thing. This isn't just about fixing a few bad calls. It's about restoring faith in the game we love. The WNBA has a golden opportunity to show fans they're serious about change. Imagine a league where players like Caitlin Clark can focus on their game instead of worrying about missed calls. Where fans can cheer without questioning every whistle. It won't be easy, but the potential is there. If the WNBA listens to its fans, embraces transparency, and commits to fair play, they can turn this crisis into a turning point. The road ahead is challenging, but with the right moves, the WNBA could emerge stronger than ever. Are you ready to see what happens next? Let us know in the comments. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we will see you in the next one.